Hey there. I know it's been a minute, and I do apologize for that. It's, I've actually had this prepped for, I don't know, a month or more, this upcoming podcast. I had a very special conversation with a very old friend, and was very, very pleased with the way it went, brought up a lot of old memories, and talked a lot about how I got started and where I'm going, as well as a song that he re-recorded for me in a couple of different versions, and his process on writing and creating. I thought it was just very informative. But with the ongoing oral surgeries and the dealing with my eye and everything else, it's just it triggered kind of a wave of depression, and depression with me, at least with me, is not so much sadness as it is just almost like everything shuts down. My creative process, my motivation to actually put something on video, or to even, keep up with the diary of what's going on with work and in the beautiful place that I live in. And it's idyllic, and I'm extremely fortunate to be where I'm at. But for days and days and then weeks and weeks, I simply could not get myself to do the thing. So today I am doing the thing. I literally set everything up yesterday so that I could get up this morning and make this happen. Anyway, and that's my lame excuse for why you haven't heard from me in a little while. I hope that's going to change. I'm going to be working in that direction. Just gotta find the motivation and find it within me, find it within the surroundings and everything that I see. But anyway, the one friend the close friend that I really kept when everything in my world fell apart 9 years ago was Ted. Ted Loring. You'll hear more about, how we eventually ended up working together and where our paths went in different parts of our lives. But when I was at my lowest point and at the worst person I could possibly be, Ted listened over a long lunch, listened to me, listened to what I had to say, listened to who I was, the good and the bad and all the things, and loved me afterwards without judgment. Just like, I know your heart, I know who you are. I understand everybody occasionally does things they regret, but I love you and you're my friend, and that has maintained, and I am ever grateful for Ted. So this was a Zoom conversation we had. Initially, the entire thing runs over 2 hours, but I'm just gonna for this episode I'm gonna keep it to about 40 minutes or so. It is, for me, it's gripping conversation and it's history, and I'm gonna put it out there. I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you listening. Ted recently re-recorded "Love Is Everything," which was a song written for me, and he put his own spin on it, and it's amazing. And it'll be coming up after the conversation. I hope there's love where you are, and without any further ado, because there's certainly been enough ado already, this is my conversation with my best friend Ted. Ted, it is great to see you.
Chris, it is great to see you.
Never call me that.
Hannibal, I mean,
you're fine. You're in the very short list of people that can call me by my.
Jeffrey. It's good to see you.
Whoever you are, right. I haven't seen you since 2018, since I was prepping to leave Charlotte.
Yes, and I didn't know that I was prepping to leave Charlotte.
I didn't either. It was a very surprise. Now, just to catch up on things I don't know, what I heard was that you were going to Oklahoma to run a goat farm.
No, not a goat farm. Who told you that?
I thought it was you.
Goats of all things. No, I did not come out here really for that purpose, but what I have ended up doing is running a donkey rescue, or at least representing a nationwide donkey rescue organization in the state of Oklahoma.
Is there a donkey crisis?
A donkey process?
crisis? Is there a reason that
Oh,
donkeys are having to be rescued?
that is a very common question. And the answer to that is yes. One reason is because there are a lot of wild donkeys out there. A lot of them are on federal land, federal state
Mhm.
parks. They are considered an invasive species. They are
Yeah.
also not welcome at various military forts and things like that, where they can
Hmm.
sometimes be. Uh, the reason why they're there in the first place is, of course, because of us.
Right.
After the railroads were established, a lot of the people that had donkeys, which, uh, 150 years ago, having a donkey was like having a Honda Civic, basically, just a useful
Right. Yeah.
thing to get around on or move stuff around on. But with a railroad, people just literally released the donkeys. The donkeys that were especially involved in the construction of the railroad were just released
Okay.
into the wild.
Run rampant. Okay.
And being desert animals, they don't need much
Hmm.
to live on, so they thrive, and they can actually eat down the vegetation that other animals should get.
Gotcha.
So the other element of donkeys need to be rescued are domestic rescues.
Mhm.
The thing about donkeys is that they live a long time. They live between 30 and 40 years, some
I
of them more
didn't
than
know that.
that.
Wow.
So
Okay.
what happens is a lot of people that maybe have donkeys and love donkeys, well, they pass away, and those
Mhm.
animals get passed on to the children or grandchildren who don't care about them or care for them, and they can arrive in very various stages of neglect. Is probably the best way to say that.
I see.
And
Okay.
I'm not dogging anybody. It's just that's because they didn't. Sometimes they just simply didn't know what to do or where to
Yeah.
go.
It's a thing that happens. Gotcha. So you were in the IT business, in the computer business,
Yes.
at least. How
Hmm.
does one get from that to donkey rescue?
Well, this
It
morning as
seems a
I
big
was out
step.
there, you would think so, but I was out there this morning with a rake, raking up some donkey junk
Uh-huh.
and cleaning things up. And really, IT is not that different on a day-to-day basis,
Okay.
or tech
Right.
support.
Understood.
You're
Right,
basically
right, right.
you're so I enjoyed with tech support and IT the idea of helping other people. Some people were easier to help than others, but I really enjoy donkeys. There's a great thing about donkeys is that you can tell them anything and they won't tell anybody. I mean, they are really
Oh,
great counselors.
that's very
And
good. Yeah. You no
yeah,
secrets, no secrets shared. That's awesome.
yeah.
So
So if
what I'd like
you're
to do,
go
go
ahead,
ahead.
go ahead. I was just saying,
Okay.
if you're standing there, petting or brushing a donkey, it's really very relaxing, very therapeutic. We have some people that come to the ranch here just for that purpose, just to be able to
To
kind of
talk to donkeys.
unwind. Yeah, talk to
The
a
donkey
donkey.
whisperer. Interesting.
That's what I call my wife. That's what I call Sheila.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Who I've never met, by the way. I don't think I've ever even had a conversation. We're friends on Facebook because we have a
Does
mutual
she
friend.
exist? Is
Does
she
she
real?
really? I don't think I've even seen a photograph of her, honestly. Maybe you
It's
just moved to
all.
Oklahoma on like witness protection or something, and you're
I
just
have a life-size cardboard shaped cutout that, that I take with me, and it seems to be working so far.
oh man. No, what I wanted, I could say the same things about the elk in my backyards because I have massive herds of elk that come through. And there are times I'll sit on my back porch and just ask them about their elk life and how things are going. But those are very wild animals. They're very aggressive. So I
Yes,
wanted to
yes.
touch on our history and how we got to the places that we are now and where we met and then how things have changed since that time. So I'll start. I'm going to start. I'll tell you my basic side of it. If I misremember something, because I am prone to adding fantasy elements to my past life, correct me, stop me and say, no, Mr. Hannibal, that's not the way that happened.
I'll
But
do my best to do that. But please refer to me as that muscular chap.
Mr. Lynch,
No, that's fantasy right there.
Oh, no, I honestly, my first memory of you was a very skinny, manic kid. I mean, we were both in our 20s,
Yeah, late
early.
20s, I guess.
Well, I married into a church. I got married in 1988, and my wife's family insisted that I attend their church, which was at that time, was on the edge of becoming a mega church, which it eventually did. Um, I, my stepfather was a minister, and I knew too much about the inner workings of the church to be really impressed by anything. But I was insisted that I go there, and I did not much care for it. But then my father-in-law, Tommy Huff, who was an amazing human being, um, if I had to pick one human who really epitomized what I felt a Christian ought to be, it would be Tommy Huff.
And he's
He
no longer
was,
with us.
and he's no longer with us. He passed away 2 years ago.
Mhm.
Um, but always he embraced me in that family like nobody else did. I came from a questionable background, and a lot of Don's family were unsure of me. But Tommy was like, "No, you're our family now, and we'll take care of things." But Tommy came to me and said, they're doing kids church downstairs every Sunday morning, and it's a very theatrical thing. And the guy who runs it's very, very artistic and looking for artistic people. Maybe you could be a help there more so than just sitting in a pew.
That is
And I
all
went,
true.
and it's all true. So I went down and I met Bill Mock, and oh my God, the dude who was Bill's assistant,
Jay,
not Jay.
Ben, young Jim.
No, no, Jim came along a little later. Mechanic. He worked for a car dealership. Looked kind of like Frank Oz. Not totally blanking, and I shouldn't be.
Is this the
Married?
fantasy part I was supposed to
No,
interrupt you?
maybe so. Married to a woman named Suzanne. I remember her name. Mustache, curly hair. Did like most of the characters.
Oh, Bob.
Bob,
Right.
yeah, Bob. Right. So I met Bill and Bob, and I should have that could not whatever come up with that. And they were like, well, we will plug you in next Sunday. We generally meet and we'll write the script a half an hour before the show starts. And we'll make a character for you. And of course, I had a theatrical background and I knew how to do puppets. I had everything that I needed to step into that. And so I did that first Sunday, and that was it. I was in. And you were doing the music
Yes,
for
I
that.
would be sort of the warm-up guy a little bit
Mm-hmm.
before we started children's church. I would goof off with the children
Mm-hmm.
with the curtain closed, so to speak, and my keyboard. And
Yep.
like you mentioned, that they came up with a script 30 minutes before. I came up with whatever I was doing 30 seconds before I went out
Right.
into a group of kids.
Right.
So,
And I do not know exactly when I stepped into that, but it was every Sunday I was there doing something. And you and I hit it off as friends. And I was moving. I think I was working moving furniture at the time was the job that I had. And I got a call in early 1992 from Bill saying we're going to have this meeting at my brother-in-law's house. Something really big is happening. Something really exciting is happening. And I want to bring some people, and you're one of the people I want to bring. And that was the beginning of children's video ministries. We had gotten
CVM.
CVM. We had the PTL Club and Heritage USA, the big, campus that housed that had recently had a bit of a scandal.
Which, by the way, I knew very little about.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I was going into this thinking that this was this huge place. I didn't know anything about really the whole history. I knew something about it. I knew it had something
Yeah.
to do with Charlotte.
Yeah,
Um,
and Jim and Tammy Baker, I mean, they were all over the news for a while, and I didn't really associate the two together for a minute.
I didn't
But
either. Yeah,
when Bill, explained, well, that place is standing empty, and a group of Malaysian businessmen have
that
purchased
is
it,
correct.
and they want to bring it back to what it was, to make it a big Christian playground, with music and with shops and with
Yeah,
live
a
theater.
safe place to take your family for camping or
Yeah,
shopping or water park. They actually had there.
yeah. Which, wow, there's so many stories there. Um, so we had that meeting, and Bill was like, so they've asked me to do the children's church, and we're going to build sets, and we're going to write scripts, and we're going to basically what we're doing Sunday night, but for a living.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure you were at that meeting too, or at least your
Yes,
your name was brought up.
because this was the dream that I have always had at that
Yeah.
point in my life. What to be able to do that for a
Hmm.
living.
And like most things that happened in my life, I didn't have that dream. It just landed in my lap because I showed up and I did the work. I was like, yeah, I'll go to Sunday school and I'll do funny things for the children, and yeah, no one ever asked me what I believed before I took that job, before I started doing children's church. No, not one person asked me, do you believe
X, Y, or Z.
X, Y, or Z? I'm getting it. Okay, we have 10 minutes left, but if this ends, we'll just pause and continue. Anyway, that's technical stuff. I just got a flag that popped up saying, you have 10 minutes left. Um, so I just didn't, I'd never thought about it. I did plays, I did musicals, but it was my side hobby. I had a family to take care of, right? So Bill offered me a job writing the scripts. Bob had his regular job. He was not going to leave his job to go and do the thing, but he would be helping on the side. So he hired me to write scripts, and he hired you to write music. And they gave us an office together. And that's when things really kind of cemented. My job, the job he offered me, and I was the lowest paid person on staff, which he told me that right up. You're going to be the lowest paid person on staff
I was
because
paid slightly higher.
slightly higher. I made $20,000 a year. That was my salary. And I'm like, it was a raise from moving furniture.
Yeah, yeah.
I was going to be making more money and doing something I love to do and was good at. So we came in the summer, and we built a lighthouse stage, and we built a couple of things indoors, and you and I wrote some plays together. And that job lasted just about 6 months. It was from like the mid-June is when we started up to right after Thanksgiving, when the Malaysian businessmen decided they were going to stop paying us.
Yes, I remember what I was doing on my last day there.
What were you doing on your last day?
I can tell you what I wasn't doing. I wasn't writing music or playing music or writing scripts. I was on a
Yeah,
ladder halfway up a tree putting up Christmas lights
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
because we wanted to show the Malaysian business owners that we were team players.
Yep. And how'd that work out for everybody?
Well, yeah, I know. I guess everybody ended up being off the team, but
Yeah. I mean, they tried to get me, and I was a much smaller person at the time, but they tried to get me to, put the ropes course up in the middle of the trees. You have to know how to put the
yes,
ropes out in the middle of the woods. And I'm like, you have the wrong guy. I'm
40
not, that's
feet in the air. I mean,
well, it's going to be a team building thing. I said, we're the children's program. We're not the team building thing. We haven't established us doing this yet.
I still remember being 40 feet in the air with this
Hmm.
giant drill drilling through a tree where you have to kind of lean back and apply
Yeah.
pressure. So that
Uh-huh.
strap that's holding you up like a telephone pole guy, that's all there is keeping you from falling.
Right. And I
So,
also remember Bill Mock being on the ground going, that strap is like your faith in Jesus. You put all of your faith into leaning. You have to lean back and
a
and
Bible
and
lesson and everything.
in everything. Which God bless him. What a
Yeah, yeah.
What a great example. And he was trying his best to make everything work and to make everybody happy.
Well,
He really
he
pushed
had
hard.
so much pressure, right? I mean, he had
Yeah.
people that he was trying to pay,
Hmm.
and he didn't have that money in reserve, you
Yeah.
know. So
So
I feel for
everything,
him for that.
I really do. I'm glad he found a better place. I really
Hmm.
am. But when it ended, you and I had a discussion, and we had written one play, one skit where there was a street performer, a hustler, street, and he was doing magic tricks and scams in this script. So you and I went to a magic shop in Charlotte
Huh?
to try to find magic because neither one of us knew how to do any of that stuff. So we went to a magic shop in Charlotte to figure out a couple of tricks or maybe learn some card tricks or something. And I played that part, right? So the job ended really shortly after that. And you and I had a meeting. I think we had dinner at my house. And I said, I don't want to go back to moving furniture. I've got this advantage. I know a couple of card tricks now. I'm gonna try to do the street magic thing to see if I can pay some bills and maybe look for another job while that's happening, but I want to keep performing. And your answer was, I have people to take care of. I'm gonna go back into a real job, or you had your own path to go.
Yeah,
And
a 9 to 5 job, basically. Yeah.
I tried to talk you out of that. I said, no, come perform with me. Let's write a thing together. Let's go do a thing together. We were both married to completely different people at the time.
Hmm.
And this is something you said to me earlier, but I saw it as a new beginning, a new place to start and actually do the things that I love to do rather than doing them as a hobby. Um, and for both of us, that the marriages did not last
Yeah,
in the
whether you
long run.
follow the dream or don't follow the dream,
Yeah.
sometimes the relationship has nothing to do with the dream.
Right, right. People change and people grow in different directions. Things just happen like that. Um, but and then what are we now? 30 years later? A little 32 years later?
I'm not a math guy.
Yeah, I was 27 when I changed the course of my life in 1992. That was also the year my mother died.
Hmm. I went to the
Um,
funeral. Yeah.
yeah, you did, and I appreciated that. That several people showed up, and then the whole scandal that followed that, which I will not get into right now.
Yeah.
But that was a stepping off point. And the place that I'm at now in life and the career that I have now in life really started that summer. And
It did. It started, in my mind, it started where you had that little stick that had jewels on one side in different positions, and how you rotated that stick would
yep,
show people how many jewels were on each side. Was it called a jewel stick or something? I don't know.
uh, flip stick, I think is what they called it.
I
I
believe,
still
and is that called prop magic, where
Prop
the
magic.
prop is what's doing the trick?
Yeah,
I mean,
there's a
so
tiny little bit of tiny little bit of skill in doing that because you have to rotate a certain way at a certain time.
mhm.
I still have that. So I have that in a drawer up in my bedroom. Like this is the trick that began everything.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Um,
people were watching you do it, and I could see them thoroughly enjoying it, like engaging in
yeah.
this. And it's one of those eureka moments, like, wow,
Hmm.
this guy
Yeah.
has something special that he didn't even know that he had.
Didn't know I had. Like I've said that before. I followed a dream I never knew I had in the first place.
Hmm.
I came into magic not knowing anything about it, not ever having had the bug as a kid, which most magicians start off when they're like 9 or 10 years old. Like this is a thing I can do. Um, Mine has always been the story, and art is delivering the story. And just my delivery system became doing magic tricks. But I never had a, also, the big points in my life. I never had an idea about doing corporate magic or corporate entertainment until someone just said, "Hey, I've got a company party. I've got a budget of X amount. Can you do that? Can you come do magic tricks?" Oh, and that led to this whole other thing. I got a
Right.
call from the Magic Castle in 2010. I'd read about the castle. I knew that people come from all over the world. It's a very exclusive club. I got offered a job there without ever auditioning. Just, we've heard about you. We watched some of what you've done. Would you like this job? Would you like to come
I
work?
always assumed it was a little money under the table somewhere, but no, it wasn't. It was not that. Okay.
I'll tell that story someday. A friend in Magic was like, "You ought to audition for the Magic Castle. All you got to do is send them a videotape." It was still the days of videotape of cassettes.
Yes, VHS.
Yeah, so I sent one in and got rejected. I'm like, okay, thanks. 2 entertainment directors later found my audition tape and called me and went, "Why aren't you here? Why aren't you working for us?" So I started working for them 2 or 3 times a year. My marriage ended, and they offered me a full-time job to come out to live in Hollywood and do that. And then when I was working there, the events coordinator for where I'm at now saw me at the Magic Castle and offered me this job. It's a very shortened timeline. It's telling me I have less than a minute. So I'm going to stop the recording now and call
We'll
you
go
back. We'll see what happens. I don't know what's going to
right.
happen.
We'll start over. I mean, not over. We will
Start from this
continue.
point. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of, there's the beginning. What are you going to tell me? What are you going to tell me?
I may not know exactly where this road is taking me, but I know I'm exactly right where I'm supposed to be. The journey is long, full of joy and pain, but as long as you're smiling, I'll stand in the rain. I have nothing left to give other than love. And the funny thing about it is, love is everything. I hope there is love where you are. I hope there is love where you are. I may be a liar full of tricks, but if you open up your eyes, you would see nothing but the truth behind all of my lies. I broke every rule and I rolled every boulder. I carried the weight of the world on my shoulder. There is nothing left to give other than love. And the best part about it is, love is everything. I hope there is love where you are. 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 Anyone can wave a wand and make the heartache disappear, then call it art. But without heart, you've got nothing but illusion. Anyone can wave a wand and make all their heartache disappear and call it art. But without heart, you've got nothing but illusion.